Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. Folks, we have some very, very interesting issues, as you note. Besides a major election time, especially from a national standpoint, we have something very simply here within our state of Oregon. We got issues across the state, but we got some major issues again still here within the largest city and the largest county in the state of Oregon. As you know, I am running for office for county commissioner, district number 2, a vacating seat by still sitting Commissioner Loretta Smith, who is in the process now of running for office. She's running for city council, and as a result of that, I'm working. I'm at the commission meetings every Thursdays to basically get a better feel for where we are, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell you what, it's a mind opening. It really is. It's kind of like a situation where you said they really need my help. Yeah, I know why I'm running, because there's a need for me, and I have the background to do so. Now, naturally, there are other individuals that are running, and and then they have been invited. I'm making sure that anybody that was running for that particular seat, I wanted them to invite themselves here, as one would say, to get some exposure, as well as get some exposure at the county, and suggesting all the time that if you don't have the background, you need to be where it's at.
Yeah, that's right.
Because too often what happens is that a person goes to the electorate and they get elected, and then they're still on the job training. They're still working on the job, and right now we need people that are running. Meaning when they get in there, you're going to be working.
Yes.
So you're almost working at this point in time. But anyway, the bottom line is that we're going to continue to share, besides this particular race, with the issues here within Multnomah County and the city of Portland. As you know, the definition of the county is that they identify with the social side. But when you start looking at the high-rise buildings and things of that nature, and police and whatever, that's the city's responsibility. And I could go into all the listed agencies within those two entities, but the fact of the matter is, but basically that's what it is. That's the stuff that tends to identify with the city and with the county. When you start thinking about homelessness and this, that, and the other, i.e. homelessness, when you start talking about shelter, the first thing that comes to mind with the county is the sheriff.
Yeah.
Because he's a jailer, but realistically it's a temporary housing until you find out what the person has done, and if they've done something a little bit more heinous, they send them down to OSP, or Oregon State Penitentiary. On the other hand, if it's a short-term deal, they just let them stay right there, and then they kind of rehab, and then they get back out and whatever. And so that's I want to make sure that we understand that kind of a situation. So with that, what we're going to do is that I've got my dear friend, Mr. Alton McDonald. You've seen him on the show before. We're continuing the educational aspect of institutional racism that exists at Multnomah County, and that's one of the reasons why I have him on. He has been graciously being at the commission meetings to remind the commissioners that there's an issue.
Yes.
That there still is an issue. It's not personally attacking anyone. It's an issue within the county. It's a cancer that we have, and we've got to deal with it. Unfortunately, we got individuals that are leading, if you will, and still sometimes not recognizing this issue. But we're trying to bring the issue to the table to respond to it, and I'm sure hopefully something will happen along that line. So we're gonna talk about that, and then we're gonna probably talk about another issue that tends to also falls in the whole issue of institutional racism within this country of ours. And just the recent shooting in Florida in the high school. Some 17 young people were shot by another young person, and people are still wondering why and what and this, that, and the other. But again, the definition of institutional racism falls at the table. Sometimes you think about racism, you think about just black and white routine, but it's beyond that. It is beyond that. So I wanted to do that. We want to do a little bit of that piece aspect of it. And you never know. We might open up the line. we might open up the line and see if we can get a few callers to call in and see what you think about and how would you define the definition of institutional racism and its impact on you as a person or us as a society, which we have to resolve. But the first thing I want to do, why don't we just give us a quick moment of silence, if you will, for those young people that died in Florida. Okay, we'll do that and then we'll get right back to the program. Okay, that being done, now we're just going on and get into the program. Welcome, Alton.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
McDonald,
Yeah.
appreciate you coming in. Well, give us an update in terms of what do you think we stand now at the county, as far as the recognition among the commissioners, the seating commissioners, as it relates to institutional racism. Do you think that are they getting there? Are they grasping it? What do you think?
Oh, from my analysis of the situation, I can't put my thumb on whether or not they're grasping it. But what I can truly say that their action demonstrate that they're not, because of the very fact that they have not yet respond to the issue of Chairwoman Deborah Kafoury calling Commissioner Smith the bitch. Which I articulated to them that the word bitch refers to a female dog in heat. At the last meeting, I articulated to the additional commissioner, that their silence is consent, and that their silence is telling Chairwoman Kafoury that it's okay to call Commissioner Smith a bitch. And I did in fact articulated that by their silence, and with Commissioner Loretta Smith being called out of her name in a very disrespectful and disparaging words, the adjectives that were used against her, is not only calling her out of her name, but calling every black woman that reside in Multnomah County a bitch. And not only in this county, but every black woman that live in the United States, in the world, calling her the B name. And every young girl who's black, she's also referring to them too as bitches, so to speak. So it's not just affecting Commissioner Smith, it's affecting all black women that reside in the state of Oregon, outside of the state of Oregon, every black girl, young ladies that live within the state of Oregon and outside and around the world. So this is having an effect, an impact upon all black women. And so the commissioners who are silent in this particular issue, they should be embarrassed.
Well, tell me this, Alton. On that same note, we were both at the last meeting, and Commissioner Chair Kafoury wasn't there.
Yes.
That last meeting, and also when everyone else was there, including Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
And I know that you made your point again. We're again trying to get everybody to the table aspect of it. Do you think there's a time when at least someone should have said something, and to respond to where they are? Because it was suggested some time ago that a committee be set up, etc., and the chair was supposed to, staff was supposed to have contacted the people. Remember the group people that had talked about a similar kind of situation, and under former chair Gladys McCoy, remember?
Yes, yes.
And unfortunately, they never contacted the folks who were in that committee. I think it was Dr. Price who was the committee chair during that particular time, but that hasn't happened. But my point is that I think that the point I'm making is that was going to be kind of like a first step to get it to the table. And now we don't have that. That hasn't happened. You're there. And then we got 4 commissioners that are there. and I'm talking about last week, but why then didn't get the response to the acting chair, and in all due respect, even Commissioner Loretta Smith, she was there. Do you think she should have maybe brought the issue up to start the discussion? And could she have done that to talk about the issue?
Yes, I think with the power that's invested in her as an elected official
Right.
and the capacity that she served, she could have done that.
Yes.
Why she elected not to
Yes.
do that, I don't know. But I think that the seriousness of the issue is that the demand that we've placed upon Chairwoman Kafoury to
Right.
resign.
Right.
And it's still a demand that she needs to resign. I get to understand just in what she had done most recently, her chief of staff who had somehow taken another job somewhere else, and now she hired a African American woman into that position as their chief of staff. And by doing that, she's telling the community that, look, I have a black woman working for me as my chief of staff, so I have no tendency of racism. But I would say to Chairwoman Kafoury that if you're married to my brother, I would still say that you have racist tendency and you have disrespected the Negro race. You have disrespected a black woman who's a commissioner that sits with you and serves with you and the Multnomah County Commission. And for you to still remain as chair is unforgivable. And that's the reason why we're still demanding her resignation.
Well, like I said, I hear you, because I saw that. I saw the announcement in both of the black newspaper, both the Scanner and the Observer. They made note of the fact that she was hired to educate the black community.
Yeah.
that she'd appointed a black woman. But I guess the other unique thing about that is that this past Thursday, there was a recognition of Black History Month that was brought up by Commissioner Loretta Smith.
Yes.
And I noticed that in that whole presentation that there was no acknowledgement from the commissioners, from Commissioner Kafoury's standpoint, because she wasn't there. Just making the point that just what do you call it? Just respect, if you will, for the month, if you will, the Black History Month, but also the acting. Well, the new chief of staff was there, yes. And I did approach several of the folks to see whether or not someone could have come up from Commissioner Kafoury's office to at least acknowledge the fact that Black History Month was being respected, from that particular aspect of it.
Yes.
And I was a little disappointed with that, because she was a black woman. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
And knowing that the activities that were happening, and recognizing the fact that you've been there, you got me, and making the point. Again, I'm trying to get to reacting to the whole issue of institutional racism.
Yes.
I would have thought that at some point there would have been a sort of an acknowledgement to saying, well, this is what we're doing, as opposed to just hire. If you're going to hire a black woman to be now the chief of staff, then is she a black woman, or is she going to be chief of staff, or is it just for, like you're saying, just for show and tell?
Yeah. I think the possibility.
I'm just throwing that out to you.
Yeah.
I hate to put it on that end, but that's what we are. And I'm trying to figure out, we got to come up to some solution piece. I understand that. If she is running for office, and that could have some repercussion on her running, and it's like there is. I'm still looking at the listing of folks who have filed to run.
Yes.
I don't see anybody.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But still, at the end of the day, somebody's going to be elected to that position, and if it's her, and then nothing happens between that point, then we have even a bigger issue, because there's a big job there at that county for poor folks.
Yes. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, at this juncture where we are right now, is that we are still waiting for a response from the chair.
Right.
And one of the things that is so disgusting is the fact that the day that she subsequently apologized to Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Smith had to ask her, the chairwoman Kafoury, to apologize to her. Normally, when you have done something wrong, and you have acknowledged that you have done something wrong, you don't ask the person that you have wronged. The person who have been wronged does not ask the perpetrator to apologize to them, to say that, you have wronged me. No, the individual who have done the wrong need to acknowledge that they have done wrong. And I don't believe that Chairwoman Kafoury have acknowledged the fact that she have done wrong. She was asked to apologize to Commissioner Smith, and she did so. But I don't believe that she meant to apologize to her, because she have not acknowledged the fact that she have done wrong. And that's usually why our demand is still on her to resign. And you touch on the point of institutional racism.
Right,
yes, there is a problem in the county. And the issue of institutional racism is not being addressed. And there are many black employees and other ethnic group, but especially the black employees, who are afraid to speak up, because they do, number one, they don't want to lose their job. Number two, they don't want to become a target of retaliation, so they remain quiet. And so the issue of the racism that exists within the county continues to happen because no one wants to speak up, because they know if they do, they may end up losing their job or become a victim of retaliation.
But the folks who elected the officer are still sitting there.
Yes, they are.
Besides Chair Kafoury, there are 4 other commissioners there. Why can't they raise the issue up? What do you think? Any thoughts on that?
I think, like I said last Thursday, I think that their silence is consent.
Right.
And they're feeling the same way about Commissioner Smith as Chairwoman Kafoury. The very fact that they're silent is telling. And it's also not just telling, it's disgusting to know that you have a fellow human being, or your peers, or you're serving with in this commission, have not said anything openly to the greater community, that the remarks of calling Commissioner Smith out of her name by Chairwoman Kafoury disparaging is disgusting, it's embarrassing. No such comment should have been made. But they're silent. All 3 commissioners are silent and remain silent.
But again, not being redundant, but again, going back to that Thursday situation, the chair's not there, but they are now.
Yes.
And then you're talking about Black History Month being identified and talked to and brought to the table by Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
A full program, a real field program, with some of the employees from the county addressing and being a part of that whole ceremonial kind of a deal. But I agree with you. But they were still silent, if you will. I mean, there was no acknowledging, or just basically maybe talking to a letter from Chair Kafoury in terms of recognizing Black History Month. Yes. It just so happened that, well, actually, you got the only black woman that is sitting up there. She's put the program together, so to speak, but just acknowledging, like you normally would do. And I didn't see the interaction, the respect, if you will, of that particular date. It was as if the divide is still there. It's still there. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
I
do. I understand.
And then at the end of the day, in fact, not going from Black History Month, like I said, and then having the new chair sitting there, a black woman sitting there, not just taken upon herself. She could have just, from the office of Chair Kafoury, could have just taken it upon herself just to send a note, if you will, to the new chair, to the chair that's there, that said, "Look here, I want to make sure that I'd like to get 3 minutes of my time as chair, because the chair's gone for whatever reason, emergency, whatever. Just to acknowledge the fact that we're honoring from the county Black History Month, and so that bothered me. Because I'm saying, well, imagine what the staff as a whole, and from the county standpoint, recognizing, in all due respect, you're being there every Thursday, making that point, as if to say, somebody got to break the ice. This is still on the table.
That's right.
You see? And there's the opportunity to do that. And then it was almost like a slap in the face on Black History Month.
Yes.
Because that's a divide. It's a major divide. And we've got some other major issues that are sitting there. We got health issues. We got homeless issues and this, that, and the other. And how do you do business along that particular line?
Yes.
I just thought I'd throw that out there because that's what I saw Thursday. I don't see the starting, if you will, of dealing with the issue that you brought to the table and others besides yourself brought to the table. And I'll make another little quick point. I've been, as you know, I've been trying to get the county to acknowledge maybe the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Yes.
And what that meant. But yet and still it's still sitting on the table. The flag gets raised every morning at the top of the building. But yet here I stand and I'm saying let's go on and say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and I'm not getting the acknowledgement that I thought from the commission across the board, by the way. That's so again, this is all inclusive, if you will, of the institutional racism aspect of it, and I don't like the idea of saying that, well, because of my skin color, they're not going to they're not going to want to respect the flag aspect of it. Well, the people in the audience, you notice they did stand.
Yes, that's correct.
They did stand, but unfortunately, I would have thought that the commissioners, somebody would have taken the commissioners sitting there, and even the acting chair. Just automatically would have stood up because they know that's why I'm there.
That's right.
To start with. Yeah. But it's gotten into these other areas because I happen to be running for office, and that's why I'm there to kind of get a sense of I feel I know the job, but guess what? I don't have anybody. They're not discussing the jobs. You know, I'm out there eating at the various lunch facilities with the seniors. You know, around district number 2 and things of that nature. But I'm not getting the discussions to improve or disapprove. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We got a job to do. So, and I'm saying respectfully to you, if I was sitting there, I would have jumped on that issue a long time ago. The first day, I really would have.
Yes.
I would have had a discussion with you. I would have had something with that, and we'll sit down and figure out what to do. You know what I mean? What we're going to do. This man brings an issue here to the table. So what do we do?
Yeah.
You know,
I think, honestly speaking, I don't believe that they don't want to touch the issue. And as you were saying that Chairwoman Kafoury, since this is a celebration of Black History Month, Chairwoman Kafoury take it upon herself to be absent for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she wasn't there. She was missing MIA, missing in action. And I was also taken back that the chairperson or the director for equity and diversity, I didn't see him there making any comment. He was also missing. So it just goes to show that where does the truth lies? You know, is this a show, a dog and pony kind of show business, show and tell that we do acknowledge, but we're not gonna execute? Because one can acknowledge that you're present, but at the same time, as they acknowledge you're present, they can dismiss you as a person because of your skin color.
Right.
So it can happen, as it's happening, acknowledging you, at the same time dismissing you, at the same time still subjecting you to a hostile working environment because of your skin color. So it just goes to show that the issue is real. It's not going to go away unless someone does something about it. And I don't believe that Chair Kafoury is going to do anything about it because she was missing last Thursday from the meeting that the county was celebrating the observation of Black History Month.
Tell me something. If she had called any of the other minority women, there was an Asian woman there.
Yes.
There was a Hispanic woman there, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
There was a Jewish woman there.
Yes.
I think she was carrying the Jewish flag, if I'm not mistaken. And they were all considered minorities. And then the Commissioner Smith was there. If she had called, let's say, the Asian woman a bitch, would it have had the same significance, you think?
I think, yes. I think it would have been, I think the Asian community would have come out in its numbers because they would have their meeting and they would say, no, we can't have this. we can't allow the chairwoman to mistreat one of her commissioners, especially one of our own, in this manner. I think it would have been different, totally different.
Would she have acknowledged it?
Yeah, I think she would have acknowledged the mistake.
She would have acknowledged it?
Yes, I think so.
Openly?
Openly acknowledged.
Respectfully?
Respectfully. Yes, she would have. And if she would have called the Asian woman out of her name, as she did Commissioner Smith, the Asian commissioner, Stegman, would not have asked Chairwoman Kafoury to apologize to her. She would have done it because she would have acknowledged the fact that she did something wrong. So there's a difference.
There's a difference.
There's a big difference. There's a big, big difference. And Chairwoman Kafoury knows exactly what the difference is. She have no respect for black people. None whatsoever. Because she have demonstrated that time and time again by her own action, that she have demonstrated that she have no respect for black people. So to go to a black church, or to be invited to a black church, or to invite the black ministers to have a sit-down meeting with them, doesn't say anything whatsoever. You can still have a hatred for black people at the same time trying to include them just because, to make it look as if to say that you're not racist, or that you love all people. But in fact, in your heart, there is something wrong with you, because of you have demonstrated your action by the things that you have done and said about the black woman.
But at the same time, they've identified the institutional racism as they're talking to everybody across the board. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
But when it, that's what I'm saying. But when it's a black person involved in the process, it's like it was segregated, as if it's the only complainant, if you will, is someone black.
Yeah, that is true.
And then if it is someone black, then there's not an issue.
That's
with
right.
reference to
Yes.
resolution. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Is that what I'm saying?
it's fair. It's fair.
See what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
And I think, and we need to share this with the viewing public, because it is a problem, and in all due respect, is causing the public quite a bit.
Yes.
Monetarily wise.
Yes, it is.
And lack of services being served.
That's right.
If you will. You got my point?
Yes.
And here we are right now in the process of getting the two most senior people on that commission. That's the chairperson and Commissioner Smith. And the others are just, in all due respect, they're newbies, if you will.
Yeah.
And so who's going to be the leadership? One's going to be leaving, one's running, when term limits out. That's Commissioner Smith. And if something should happen to or stress, whatever, to Chairwoman Kafoury, where's the leadership and where's the seniority? There's a void. So now all of a sudden we got new people. We got new people that are already there. They're learning the job, as you say, and they're afraid of what this, that, and the other. Maybe they're representing their respective ethnic group or whatever, and they don't want to say anything about whatever. Maybe they're getting their fair share.
Yes.
Okay? So who's going to represent, if you will, those individuals in the black community?
Wow. Yeah, that's the best thing.
You understand what I'm saying? And so again, that's something that I see from the standpoint of the leadership aspect of it. You know what I mean? I've always maintained, even as I've run for office, I say, where's the resume? We got to know what the issues are, and then you match the issues with the resume. Unfortunately, we don't select our leaders that way.
That's right.
You got me, and I'm seeing
Yes,
that. But I'm throwing that back on the table because I'm seeing you there, and you're very committed, and you're very eloquent in terms of how you've made this presentation, and it's not so protestery type, such that it looks negative. It's very real.
Yes.
And right. you've dotted your I's, you've crossed your T's, the whole 9 yards, and you would think that was an opportunity. Where you are, you're an opportunity to deal with an issue, in all due respect, in this city that's far too long, that needs help, that needs to talk to the issue. And you're here. That's why I've got you here today. Rather than my trying to put the flag piece and making a statement, I'm completely ignored.
Yes.
And you know, and I'm being very serious. If I sit down there, the gavel is going. They can gavel me for days, but that may be the only thing we talk about for an hour. We're going to talk about this issue that exists because people are in need of the services out there in those communities. I'm in district number 2.
Yeah.
And the majority of black folks living in the state of Oregon are identified in district number 2. And there are issues about those folks in that area that needs to be taken care of. Rightfully so. Yeah. You got me? I'm seeing the inequities of the other parts of the districts, if you will, the other districts, as to how the community is being treated. I'm looking at the facilities, the housing, the food that's being served. I'm looking at the whole 9 yards. And we've got some inequities there. So who's going to respond to that? So I'm still coming back to you and saying, well, first I want to thank you very much for being present.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
being present, you know, and I know that there are some folks in the community that have been here day in and day out trying to talk about the same issue, but again, they've got to work, they've got to eat, and you know, and a lot of times what happens is they'll hire certain peoples, if you will, to all of a sudden pop up and sign off on stuff. That's existing. You got me? And so there's a frustration with those folks who are capable and able to do the work and wanting to restrain that frustration or whatever. That's what this institutional racism is all about. It exists in district number 2 more than it does in the other district. As in regards to black folks. Just straight up. We just happen to have that part up in there. Well, look what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break. And we're going to come back to the table.
Yes, sir.
But again, take a couple minutes, get a cup of coffee, and come on back to the table. We got some more talk to do. We'll be right back.
You are watching Oregon Voters Digest. This program can be seen again on these channels on these dates and times. Tell a friend.
Welcome back, folks. Again, I'm Bruce Broussard. Hey, I'm the guy, Bruce Broussard here at the Oregon Voters Digest. And as you can see, we have some very interesting issues. I mean, just running for office is an issue, just to begin with, and seeing what I'm going to have to be looking forward to sitting in that seat. That is very responsible position. So I would hope you take note of that when you're looking at your ballots for both the chair position and also the position for the outgoing Commissioner Smith, because there are some issues there that I have as a voter. I got several hats. I'm running for office.
Yes.
And I'll be voting for someone for that responsibility.
Yes.
You got my point?
Yes.
And I'm having problems with some of the folks that are running. And two of them in particular, they have no idea what the community, what District 2 is all about. The only one that I know, and the only one, and I've invited all of them, all the other three candidates to come on, and only one has shown on. Sharon, she's the only one that has come on. So anyway, that's my issue. I'm going to deal with that part. But anyway, we're right back again. I've got Alton here with me again right now, and we're talking about the whole issue of institutional racism.
Yes, sir.
at Multnomah County. And just so happened, we were able to contact one of the individuals that had put in a complaint to the county and to go before civil rights, reacting to that piece. And she happens to be on the phone. And what we're going to do, we're going to have her on. She's going to be on the phone. She's on the phone now. She's on the phone now at this point in time. And what she's going to do, she's going to share with us what was her rationale for coming in for the complaint, and what was the complaint, and what response did she get in those regards. Okay, Mrs. Bird, are you there?
I certainly am.
Okay, turn it up a little bit. Way on the volume so we can hear a little bit better. Okay, let's okay. Ms. Bird, you there?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now we can hear you now. Okay. So, welcome to the Oregon Voters Digest. We really appreciate your giving us a call back on this issue. Now, you were quoted. Would you mind just sharing with us what was your complaint about, and what was the result of the complaint? Thank you.
Well, the complaint. What's missing from the conversation is what employees, particularly Black employees, experience while employed at Multnomah County.
Turn it up, please.
I've been a Black employee for several years at Multnomah County. I cannot detail the race-based discrimination that I've experienced. And the irony of what Chair Kafoury did is September 14, 2017, the employees of color presented the board with a workforce equity strategy. The board passed it unanimously. Basically, the workforce equity strategy strives to deal with ongoing, well-established, documented history of racism at Multnomah County. And so when Chair Kafoury called Commissioner Smith a bitch, it really struck a nerve with me, because I have ongoing issues at the county. I had just engaged in dialogue with Marissa Madrigal, because after the board passed the Workforce Equity Initiative, they sort of distracted from normal protocol. So any employee experiencing discrimination, you no longer would tell your supervisor. It went directly to the COO's, the Chief Operating Officer, Marissa Madrigal's office. And to her credit, I can only speak to my experience with Marissa Madrigal. To her credit, she definitely had made impact and influence in my immediate work area. I felt as though if other people experienced that at the county, that no, it wouldn't change institutional racism, but it could definitely make the experiences of employees, Black employees, better. Chair Kafoury calling Commissioner Smith a bitch, she put us back to square one as far as I was concerned. And then for her to send out an email, her apology to county employees was, I lost my cool. What the hell does that mean? You lost your cool. There's no remorse there, and I'm not necessarily looking for remorse because I know what I'm dealing with. What I'm looking for is, if you claim equity is your goal, then I'm going to hold you to that. And so I filed a complaint. In the complaint, I outlined several county policies in which Chair Kafoury is in violation. Not only did I file a complaint, I demanded that an investigation is open into Chair Kafoury's actions on December 21st, 2017, when she called Commissioner Smith a bitch.
And what was the reaction after that? Did they contact you?
Well, yeah, Marissa Madrigal did respond to my complaint, and she informed me that after consultation with Steve March, Travis Graves, the head of County Human Resources, and Jenny Madcore, the attorney, the county attorney, after consultation with them, it was determined that her office does not have the authority to investigate Chair Kafoury because it was an elected official on elected official action. Had it been an employee against elected official action, then her office would have jurisdiction to act. But I raised the question, well, how did you all investigate Commissioner Smith? It was an employee complaint against an elected official. I am an employee of Multnomah County, and I am filing a complaint against an elected official. So in that regard, the situations are identical. So how is it you could investigate Commissioner Smith, but you now cannot investigate Chair Kafoury?
So who then would investigate and respond to your request?
Well, in the letter I received from Madrigal's office, they suggested that the Government Ethics Commission, who determined that they would take no action in this situation, the Secretary of State, the Department of Justice, but I should probably provide you with an update because I did send the email to Ben Duncan, Multnomah County Department of Equity and Inclusion, and they are opening an investigation.
They are doing it now?
They are opening an investigation.
Okay. Were you able to CC that to the State Ethics Commission and the Secretary of State's office, maybe?
And whose office?
At the Secretary of State's. And
I did.
The Ethics Commission, State Ethics Commission.
I did. They aren't going to take any action.
Okay. Well, good then. Well, will you keep us abreast of that whole situation, please?
I certainly will.
Thank you very, very much, Mrs. Bird.
Oh, no problem. You have a good day.
Thank you. Okay.
So you see,
what do you think?
Yeah, you see the racism, because I've spoken to Mr. Duncan myself in regards to a complaint that I filed, our agency, New Century Justice Network, filed as it relates to adult foster care program, that this Lee Garrard, she's the director, and how the black owner-operators are being mistreated. Mr. Oster, who works for Mr. Duncan, have contacted me via phone, and since last week I've been trying to call him to follow up with the investigation, and have yet to make contact with him, and he have not called me back. So it's not just at the county itself, but it's also outside, and black citizen who does business with the county experiencing the same problem of racism as does the employees who work for the county. So there's a problem. There's a cancer, and what Chairwoman Kafoury did is just to expose it by calling Commissioner Smith a bitch. So she have made the thing even worse than what it is. So and now she put herself in a quagmire, and so we don't know how she's gonna get out of it. And what we suggested to her and what we demanded of her is that she needs to resign. And if she resigned, then it now put everything in motion for other issues to be addressed, such as making sure that the employees' rights are being protected, and that any other subsequent complaint that comes in after she would have resigned would be thoroughly be investigated as related to discrimination and the violation of any employees or owner operators who work for the county, a contract with the county, so to speak, that would be thoroughly investigated. And Ms. Bird, it's as she stated earlier, that Chairwoman Kafoury was the one who ordered the investigation into Commissioner Smith with an employee file against Commissioner Smith because of what had happened. But now they're backtracking. The folks who were supposed to do the right thing are backtracking. So, we can't investigate Chairwoman Kafoury. And I want to ask the question, why not? You did in fact recommend that, you did in fact investigate Commissioner Smith. So why is it that hands off Commissioner Kafoury? Why is that? That's the question. That's the $1 million question. I hope that someone from the county will be able to answer that question. I hope, Mr. Duncan, if you're watching, if you're listening, if someone should bring the news to you that we're going to hold your feet to the fire to do the right thing in the position that you are in as a director for equity and diversity with the county.
Well, in all due respect, again, I'm learning again as we go along this thing because I'm running too. The fact of the matter is she's wearing several hats right now. She is the chairperson.
Yes.
In all due respect, what I see is micromanagement. I don't see the other involvees of the other commissioners. And then naturally, Commissioner Smith is running for city council. So that she's wearing another hat, if you will.
Yes.
And then there's divisiveness, this institutional racism piece. That's another piece. You got me?
Yes.
And so, you got the chair who's basically running everything, right? That's another hat, right? Got me?
That's correct.
And so consequently, as chair, you can either say yay or nay on anything. That's perception-wise.
That's correct.
Called an addition.
Yes.
So where do we try to resolve the issue? And that's where I'm saying when you were there, you made your point, and the fact of the matter is that we also talked about why not set up this committee to deal with issues like Mrs. Bird, who just spoke to us, and the other three people, if you will. Where do they go? So then at the end of the day, let's say there might be a situation where an attorney might say, well, come on in and do a class action suit, and then here's the county again.
Yeah.
It's causing the citizens all kinds of monies. We're losing some very respectful, hardworking people who are at the county, like Mrs. Bird, if you will. Now she can't do her job. Then there's a possibility they would threaten her in regards to keeping her job. So we've got a major problem here.
Yes, sir, we do.
I'm thinking that maybe if she wasn't running for, say, incumbency, another chair, because she was a commissioner before. She only spent one term as a chair, but she was a commissioner to begin with. So she's been there. She's a senior employee, and that's, in all due respect, that's the danger of this thing.
Yes.
It's so ingrained. So again, and just sharing with her. I mean, gee whiz, come on now, let's get down to business here.
That's right.
There's work to be done. There's issues right here in this whole county. There's issues I see it in District Number 2, big time, in terms of needed services. But if the employees that are performing the services, administratively or whatever, if they can't do their job and they've got their attentions on trying to survive and all these other different issues, what do we have? So I'm just bringing it back to the table. And when I see you there at the table, this is real. You're not just saying it just for another personality kind of a deal. This is real.
That's real, yes, sir.
This is a real serious thing. But again, in all due respect, when someone black makes the point, then the institutional racism begins. Here we go again with the blacks. That's why I said if one of the Asians or the Jewish woman had made the point about being called a bitch, what they have said about her. You understand me? She probably never would have said that. So this is a very serious issue. And again, like I said, ordinarily, a person who might be running for a seat would just be quiet about nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't say anything. Yeah. Well, that's just not my gesture. I'm running because I'm very familiar with some of the issues in the area. That's why I'm running.
That's right.
I'm not OJT in the job. I've been trying to get these other folks to come and sit at the table, but that's the fear that they have because they don't know the job.
That's right. Yes.
So just be quiet and run for the money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And any other issues are talked behind the doors. I want to be very public, about my position. I want to have this show while I'm in the office.
That's right.
To educate folks, to let what's going on,
Yes.
and call in, let people know what's happening, so we can take care of business.
That's right. That's right.
So we got a problem.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So any other points that you want to make?
But Bruce, it is so unforgiving that Chairwoman Kafoury continued to disrespect.
I know. I see it.
Commissioner Smith. At the board meeting before last, I remember Commissioner Smith raised an issue about the sale of a piece of property.
Yes, Wapato. I'm very familiar with that.
And so she said to her that it wasn't on the agendas.
Yes.
Commissioner Smith said, "Okay, I will make it for the next agenda meeting."
Yes. Which was it?
Next
Supposed to be
item
this past Thursday.
That's correct. And it was not on the agenda.
Yeah, took it off.
And then Commissioner Chairwoman Kafoury was absent.
Yeah. Yeah.
MIA, missing in action.
Yeah.
And it was not on the agenda. So the question goes to say that, yes, you're celebrating Black History Month.
Right.
Yes, you're talking about Black History Month. Yes, you're showing the community that we respect Black History Month.
Right,
but at the same time, look how you're disrespecting one of their very own.
Yeah.
You're disrespecting.
Yeah.
And how you continue to disrespect Commissioner Smith in the manner in which that you treat her and mistreat her and make so disparaging remarks about her by calling her a bitch.
Yeah.
And it goes to show the question that I asked myself: why is that the church is so silent in this issue? Brother Bruce, why are they so silent? The churches, I should say.
Well, I've been around here for quite some time. And some folks are getting that little taste too, you see.
Oh, okay. Now I understand what you're saying, yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the sad thing about it. I mean, normally I'm not supposed to be making those kinds of statements, you know what I'm saying? But truly, we got some issues at the county.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And in fact, I might add, too, that Commissioner Smith, this past time around, not just trying to be flowery thing, but she made the point about she challenged the chair again. She wants to bring that issue back on the table. Because they're not going to have a commission meeting next week, but the following week, on the end of the day, they had to make some comments, and she talked about Wapato. She also challenged and asked for an audit of some work that was supposed to have been done on some of the county buildings that they couldn't find the money. She identified a roof that was supposed to have been put on. The money's gone, but the roof was not done at the same time. So she brought that up in the commission meeting. Now that's supposed to be addressed not this Thursday, next Thursday, but the following Thursday. And that's Wapato is huge. She gave an extension, and that was the other thing she talked about. She said that, and this was coming from Commissioner Smith. She says not only did she gave the potential buyer, who hadn't come up with the money, gave him some extra time to see whether or not he can find another developer for the property without asking the commissioners, without getting a vote. She just did it on her own.
Wow.
Commissioner Chair Kafoury did that on her own, and so she challenged that. So that's going to be hopefully that's going to be on the docket 2 weeks from now, maybe.
Yes, maybe. And who's this person? I would like to know who this person is that was given an extension to come up with the money to find the
well. And I'll tell you what, if you get the last article on Wapato, in the article it was mentioned family. The word family came up, meaning family was now involved in essence to develop the business. But they just wanted more time, basically, I guess, to find the money or something. Anyway, it's a really serious, but it needs to be talked publicly.
Yes, sir.
And that's why I'm throwing it out to the table. So please join us down at the commission meeting. If that, come on down. And I realize it's in the morning, but if you can record it, if you got Comcast, you can get yourself a recorder and do that. But on the other hand, I will be talking about this issue right here on Oregon Voters Digest because it's very, very important. You know, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be in the commission seat right now until May. I'm going to be talking about these issues, and I'm going to definitely follow up on Mrs. Bird, and I'm going to ask that question come next Thursday next, to find out, because I got the article. It's in the Tribune, by the way. If you want to know about it, go to the Tribune. It's quoted in the Tribune. It's in the newspaper. That's right. It's in the newspaper. You can either do it one of two ways. You can either do the complaint. You can even mention Mrs. Bird's name, and she'll just put it up there. But anyway, we're running out of time at this point in time. But I want to thank you very much, Alton. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully, you'll be here next week. So we're gonna have we're gonna be closed. But the bottom line is that Commissioner's not going to be meeting next week. But we'll have some other issues to talk about anyway. Okay. But again, thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate that very much. And thank you very much for intervening for some of the issues that we're dealing with that we're trying to solve.
You're welcome.
We want to thank you very much for that. Again, I'm Bruce Broussard, your host for Oregon Voters Digest. I want to thank you very much and see you next week with another very interesting topic. Have a good one. Hey folks, I'm Bruce Broussard, and as you might know, I'm running to be your next county commissioner. But I will continue to host our Oregon Voters Digest, and will likely share my views on important issues here. And since this is going to be a very important election year for everyone, I'm opening this platform for other political candidates to share their views too. So, if whether you're also running for Multnomah County Commissioner, or if you are going to be on the ballot in any other position in our viewing area, you are welcome to come on this show and tell us what you are all about. This is an open invitation to anyone running for any office in the Portland area. We broadcast our show live every Sunday afternoon here in Northeast Portland and would love to share the stage with you. If you're interested, send us an email at ovdguests@gmail.com. The email should be displayed on your screen now. So, come on down, write me an email, and tell me who you are, what position you're running for, and maybe a little about yourself. Again, our email is ovdguests@gmail.com. Even if you're not running for office, be sure to stay tuned over the next several months. You're going to want to know how your candidates stand on the issues and how they plan to represent you. Have a great week, folks. Everybody, I love you. Take care.